When a charitable gift can no longer be used for its original purpose, should it be wasted or be directed to something as close as possible?
Good day, everyone. My name is Favor Mary Olabanjo. Today, my group and I will be discussing an important principle in trust, which is Cypres Doctrine. Now, let's imagine someone donates a particular amount of money to a charity for a specific purpose, and now that particular purpose could not be achieved, could not be fulfilled because of it was illegal or because something actually happened. The question now is that should it actually be returned or it should be wasted? That's what my group and I will be discussing today. I want you all to sit back. We'll talk about what it means, when it should be applied, and the relevant case law applied to this particular doctrine.
The Cypres Doctrine is a legal principle used in charitable trust. The phrase Cypress is a French word which means as near as possible. In simple terms, it means when the original purpose of a charitable trust is not carried out, the court will redirect the gift to a purpose that is as close as possible to the donor's original intention. So instead of allowing the trust to fail, the court modifies it to preserve the charity.
Where the original purpose of a charitable trust becomes impossible or illegal to carry out, the court may invoke the Cypres Doctrine to direct that the trust property be applied to another charitable purpose as near as possible to the settlor's original intention. In equity, the court exhibits a strong preference for the preservation of charitable trusts rather than allowing them to fail. The Cypres Doctrine therefore operates to prevent the frustration of charitable gifts arising from changed circumstances and enable the courts to preserve the charitable trust, respect the intention of the donor, and ensure that such funds are still used for charitable purposes.
Condition 1. Valid charitable trust. For Cyprus to apply, the first requirement is that it must be for charitable purposes, which include relief of poverty, public welfare, education, and religion. Money given to poor students for education is a type of charitable trust, and money given to your friend or family is not a charitable trust.
The second condition is that the original purpose must have failed. This failure can happen in three ways. Number one, impossible. The purpose cannot be achieved at all. That's the meaning of impossible. Number two, impracticable. It is possible in theory but unrealistic in practice. Number three, illegal. The purpose has become unlawful. For example, now, if money was donated to treat a disease that no longer exists, the purpose becomes impossible and the Cypres apply.
The third and very important condition is general charitable intention. This means the court asks, did the donor intend only for this exact purpose, or did they intend generally to help charity? If the intention is narrow and specific, the trust may fail. But if it is broad, the court can redirect the funds. For example, if someone says only for school X and no other, that is specific intention. But if the parent says for the education of children, that is general charitable intention and Cyprus can apply.
Just as seen in the case of Jackson versus Phillips. In the case of Jackson versus Phillips, a man donated some particular amount of money to help end slave trade. At the time the trust was supposed to operate, slave trade had already been abolished. So the original purpose was no longer possible. The court applied Cypres Doctrine and redirected the money to help support or to help educate freed slaves. In this case, we can see that when the original purpose is no longer possible or impracticable or becomes illegal, the court will give the money as a gift rather than allow the money go as a waste.
Also, in a religious hospital fund, money was raised to support the hospital during the wartime. After the war ended, the hospital was no longer needed. The court applied Cyprus and redirected the funds to similar charitable purposes. However, in Stanford, money was left to complete the dictionary, and after completion, surplus funds remained. The court refused to apply Cyprus because there was no general charitable intention. So this case shows that Cyprus only applies when general intention is present.
In cases like the Costa versus the Pass, a charitable purpose became illegal, so the court redirected the funds to a similar lawful purpose. In other cases like United States versus Oz Memorial Home and Hermitage Methodist Homes versus Dominion Trust included discriminatory conditions. The court removed those unlawful restrictions and preserved the main charitable objective. So the key lesson in all this is that courts prioritize the charitable purpose over invalid or discriminatory conduct.
In conclusion, the Cypres Doctrine is a principle of equity which enables the court to modify the purpose of a charitable trust when the original purpose has failed. Before this principle of Cypres Doctrine can apply, one, there must have been a valid charitable trust and the trust must have failed. Lastly, there must have been a purpose of general intention for the trust. To easily remember the conditions for the application of the Cypres rule, you need to use the CIG rule. 1. C stands for charitable trust. I stands for impossible, illegal, or impractical purpose. G stands for general charitable intention. Ultimately, the Cypres Doctrine ensures that charitable donations are never wasted, but instead are directed to similar meaningful purpose. Thank you for listening.